At 6:17 the next morning, Maria Bennett woke up to the sound of car doors slamming outside her apartment. She sat up in bed. For a few seconds, she didn't understand what she was hearing. Another car door slammed. Then another. Then another. Maria walked quietly toward the living room. Her 7-year-old son, Daniel, was still asleep on the couch. She pulled the curtain back just an inch and froze. There were people everywhere. Men in dark suits. Women holding folders. A doctor standing beside a pickup truck. An elderly couple. A construction worker. A young mother holding a little girl by the hand. And motorcycles. Cars. Vans. At least 50 people crowded the street outside her small apartment building. Maria's heart began pounding. She immediately thought of the rent. Had her landlord finally called the police? Had something happened at the diner? Had someone followed her home? She quickly closed the curtain. Daniel stirred behind her. "Mommy." "It's okay, baby." But Maria didn't sound convinced. There was another knock. 3 slow knocks. She looked at the door. Nobody in that building had 50 people waiting outside their apartment at 7 in the morning. Another knock. Maria picked up her phone. Her hand was shaking. Then she heard a man's voice from the hallway. "Maria Bennett." She didn't answer. The voice came again. "Maria, my name is Thomas Whitmore." Her eyes widened. She knew that name, but she couldn't understand why. Then the voice continued. "Please open the door." Maria slowly walked toward it. She looked through the peephole, and her breath caught. Standing on the other side was the old man from the diner, except he wasn't wearing the worn brown jacket and faded jeans from the night before. This morning, he was wearing an expensive dark suit. Behind him stood dozens of strangers. Maria opened the door halfway. Thomas smiled gently. "Good morning, Maria." She stared at him. "Who are all these people?" Thomas looked over his shoulder, then back at her. "They're here because of something you did last night." Maria's stomach tightened. "What did I do?" Thomas lowered his voice. "You gave me something when you had almost nothing left to give." Maria looked at him in confusion. "I bought you dinner." Thomas smiled. "No." He shook his head. "You gave me much more than dinner." And Maria had absolutely no idea that the decision she'd made with her last $12 would change not only her life, but the lives of dozens of people she had never met. 24 hours earlier, Maria Bennett had exactly $12 to her name. Not $12 in savings. Not $12 hidden somewhere in the apartment. $12 total. She checked her purse twice that morning. Then a third time. She counted the bills carefully. 5, 5, 1, 1. She stared at the money. Then she looked toward the kitchen. The refrigerator hummed quietly. Maria opened it. Half a carton of milk. 3 eggs. A little butter. Nothing else. She closed the door. Daniel walked into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. "Mommy." Maria turned around and smiled. "Good morning, baby. Is there cereal?" Maria paused. She hated that question. Not today. Daniel frowned. "Toast." Maria looked at the empty bread bag sitting on the counter. "How about eggs?" Daniel smiled. "Okay." Maria cracked the 3 eggs into a bowl. She made 2 for Daniel, 1 for herself. Then she looked at her son's plate. She quietly moved her egg onto his. Daniel noticed. "Mommy, that's yours." "I'm not hungry." He looked at her suspiciously. "You always say that." Maria laughed softly. "Because it's true." It wasn't. But mothers sometimes become very good at lying when the truth would frighten their children. Maria had been raising Daniel alone for almost 5 years. His father had left when Daniel was 2. No dramatic goodbye. No explanation. Just an empty apartment and a note that said he couldn't do it anymore. Maria had been angry for months. Then she had been sad. Eventually, she stopped feeling anything about it. There was simply too much work to do. She worked 6 days a week at a small roadside diner called Murphy's. Breakfast shifts, lunch shifts, sometimes dinner. Whatever hours the manager could give her. Her car had broken down 2 months earlier. She couldn't afford the repairs. So she walked. 40 minutes to work, 40 minutes home. Sometimes longer if she had to stop at the grocery store. She didn't complain. Complaining didn't pay rent. Complaining didn't buy medicine. And complaining certainly didn't put shoes on Daniel's feet. His sneakers were beginning to split near the soles. She had promised him new ones. Next Friday, she kept saying. Next Friday had become a phrase she used whenever she couldn't afford something. Next Friday. New shoes. Next Friday. A better jacket. Next Friday. Maybe groceries would be easier. But that morning she knew something. There wasn't going to be an easy Friday. Her rent was due in 4 days. She was $180 short. The electricity company had already sent a warning. And the diner manager had reduced her hours the previous week. Maria stood at the kitchen window. Outside, the city was waking up. Cars moved through the street. People hurried to work. Everybody seemed to be going somewhere. Maria looked down at Daniel. Come on, baby. Where? School. Daniel grabbed his backpack. As they left the apartment, Maria locked the door behind them. She had no idea that by the following morning, 50 strangers would be standing outside that same door. Murphy's Diner had been there for 32 years. The sign outside flickered. 3 of the letters had stopped working. The booths were cracked. The coffee machine made a strange noise every morning. But truck drivers loved the place. So did night shift workers. Maria had worked there for 6 years. She knew the regulars by name. She knew who wanted extra cream, who liked their eggs over easy, who wanted their coffee black. And she knew the people who came in when they had nowhere else to go. That night, the diner was unusually quiet. It was almost closing time. Maria wiped down the counter. Her coworker Jenna was counting the register. You okay? Jenna asked. Maria nodded. Just tired. You always say that. Maria smiled. I guess it's becoming a habit. Jenna looked at her. You got rent money? Maria's smile disappeared. Almost. How much? Maria hesitated. Enough. Jenna knew that wasn't an answer. Maria. I'm short. How short? 180. Jenna sighed. I wish I could help. I know. Maria picked up another tray. I'll figure it out. She always did. At 10:41 p.m., the front door opened. Maria looked up. An elderly man walked inside. He appeared to be somewhere in his 70s. Gray hair, gray beard, worn brown jacket, old boots. He carried a battered leather bag. He looked exhausted. He walked toward the corner booth. Maria approached. Good evening. The old man smiled. Evening. You ready to order? He looked at the menu for a long time. Finally, he pointed. What's the cheapest thing? Maria looked at him. Soup is $4. Anything cheaper? Coffee is $2. He nodded. Soup and coffee. Maria wrote it down. Coming right up. She walked away. But something about him stayed in her mind. There was a sadness in his eyes. Not ordinary tiredness. Something deeper. Maria brought the soup. The man thanked her. He ate slowly. Very slowly. As if he wanted to make every spoonful last. Maria returned to the counter. 10 minutes later, she glanced toward the booth. The bowl was empty. The man was staring at tea. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a wallet, opened it. He counted. Once, twice, then a third time. Maria watched from across the room. The man lowered his head. He didn't have enough. He looked around. Nobody was watching. He began putting the coins back into his wallet. Maria walked over. Everything okay? The man looked up. His face turned red. I'm sorry. For what? I seem to be a little short. Maria looked at the bill. It was $6.48. She looked at the man's coins. He had $4 and some change. It's okay. I can wash dishes. Maria shook her head. No. I'll pay you back. You don't have to. The man looked confused. Maria reached into her apron. She pulled out a $10 bill. Then another two. She placed them on the table. The man's eyes widened. No, please. It's fine. But that's your money. Maria smiled. It's only dinner. He stared at her. You don't even know me. Maria shrugged. You were hungry. The man looked down. His eyes became wet. What's your name? Maria. Maria what? Bennett. He repeated it quietly. Maria Bennett. Then he looked at her. Why did you do that? Maria thought about it. Because she understood hunger. Because she knew what it felt like to count every dollar. Because she knew how humiliating it could be to admit you didn't have enough. She smiled. Because everybody deserves to eat. The old man stared at her for several seconds. Then he nodded. You're right. He stood up. Before walking away, he looked back. I won't forget you. Maria smiled. I hope you have a good night. He walked through the door and disappeared into the darkness. Maria returned to the counter. Jenna looked at her. Did you just pay for that? Maria nodded. With your own money? Yeah. Maria, you said you only had $12. Maria looked at her empty wallet. I know. You just spent all of it. Maria sighed. Tomorrow will figure itself out. Jenna stared at her. You can't keep doing this. Maria looked toward the door. Maybe. She picked up her purse. Good night. She walked home. With nothing in her wallet. And no idea that the old man she just fed wasn't who he appeared to be. Maria walked home through the quiet streets. The city was almost empty. Her feet hurt. Her stomach was growling. She hadn't eaten since noon. But she kept walking. When she reached her apartment, Daniel was asleep. Maria stood beside his bed. She brushed his hair away from his forehead. Good night, baby. Daniel didn't wake. Maria went into the kitchen. She opened the refrigerator. Half a carton of milk. 3 eggs. She opened the cabinet. Nothing. She laughed quietly. Not because anything was funny. Sometimes you laugh because the alternative is crying. She sat at the table. Then she pulled out a small notebook. It was old. The cover was worn. Inside were pages filled with handwriting. Every night, Maria wrote 3 things she was grateful for. That night she wrote, Daniel. She paused. Then, a roof over our heads. She thought for a moment. Then wrote, that I was able to help someone tonight. She closed the notebook. She didn't know that across town, the same man she'd helped was sitting in a completely different room. And he wasn't alone. Thomas Whitmore sat at the head of a long conference table. Around him sat 11 people. Lawyers, doctors, foundation directors, business owners, people who had worked with Thomas for years. On the table was a file. On the front were 2 words. Maria Bennett. Thomas opened it. Tell me everything. A woman named Rebecca slid a folder toward him. 29 years old. Single mother. 1 child. Daniel, 7. Thomas nodded. Employment. Waitress at Murphy's Diner. Income. Not enough. Debts. Rent overdue. Electricity warning. Medical expenses. Her car is broken down. Thomas looked at the file. And she gave me her last $12. Nobody spoke. Thomas closed the folder. How long? Rebecca understood. How long has she been struggling? Several years. Thomas looked down. Does she know about us? No. Good. He stood. Everyone watched him. Tomorrow morning I want the team ready. Thomas. He turned. Yes. Are you sure? Thomas smiled. I've never been more sure. At 6:17 a.m., Maria woke up. The sound of cars outside her building pulled her from sleep. She walked to the window and saw the crowd. 50 people. She had no idea who they were. Her heart raced. She woke Daniel. Baby, stay here. What's happening? I don't know. The knocking started. Maria approached the door. Who's there? Maria. She recognized the voice. Her eyes widened. She opened the door. The old man from the diner stood outside. But this time, he looked completely different. Tailored suit, polished shoes, silver watch. Behind him stood dozens of people. Maria stared. Who are you? The old man smiled. My name is Thomas Whitmore. Maria looked confused. Why are you here? Thomas looked around the tiny apartment, then back at her. Because last night you gave me your last $12. Maria shook her head. It was just dinner. No. Thomas stepped closer. To you, maybe. He looked at the crowd behind him. But to me it was proof. Proof of what? Thomas took a breath. That people are still capable of seeing another human being when there's nothing to gain. Maria didn't understand. Thomas continued. I own the Whitmore Foundation. Maria's eyes widened. She had heard of it. Everyone had. The Whitmore Foundation funded hospitals, scholarships, housing programs, food banks, emergency medical assistance. But she still didn't understand. Why did you come here? Thomas smiled. Because I need to tell you a story. Thomas sat at Maria's kitchen table. The 50 people remained outside. Daniel stood nearby watching everything. Thomas opened his leather briefcase. Inside was a photograph. He placed it on the table. Maria picked it up. A woman smiled from the photograph. She was standing beside a much younger Thomas. That's my wife, Thomas said. Her name was Eleanor. Maria looked at him. What happened? She died 8 years ago. Thomas's voice became quieter. Before she died, she told me something. Maria waited. She said, Thomas, promise me you won't let money make you forget what it feels like to need someone. Thomas looked at the photograph. I promised. After Eleanor died, Thomas started the foundation. But something bothered him. He had become surrounded by people who wanted something from him. Business deals, donations, contracts, political favors. Everybody knew he had money. But Thomas wanted to know something else. He wanted to know whether people would still be kind if they thought he had nothing. So occasionally he disappeared. He wore old clothes. He went to restaurants, bus stations, shelters, stores. He asked for help. And most of the time, people ignored him. Some mocked him. Some told him to leave. Some treated him like he wasn't human. Last night, Thomas said, I went to your diner. Maria stared at him. I didn't know who you were. Exactly. Thomas smiled. You saw an old man who was hungry. Maria looked down. Thomas reached into his briefcase. He pulled out a document. I want you to have this. Maria didn't touch it. What is it? A lease. For what? Your apartment. Maria's eyes widened. The foundation has purchased the building. She stared at him. What? You won't be evicted. Maria couldn't speak. Thomas continued. Your rent is covered for the next 5 years. Maria's eyes filled with tears. But that's not all. Thomas stood. Come outside. Maria hesitated. Daniel grabbed her hand. Mommy, who are they? Maria looked at him. I don't know. They stepped outside. The 50 people became silent. Thomas walked to the center of the crowd. These people came because they wanted to meet you. Maria looked around. A middle-aged man stepped forward. My name is David. He was wearing a construction uniform. 3 years ago, I lost my house. He pointed toward Thomas. The foundation helped me rebuild. A woman stepped forward. I'm Angela. She was holding a photograph of a little girl. My daughter needed surgery. Her voice cracked. They paid for it. Another man stepped forward. I'm Robert. He looked at Maria. I was sleeping in my car. The foundation helped him get a job. Another woman. Another story. Another life. Another second chance. Maria stood there crying. She hadn't expected any of this. Then an elderly woman approached. My husband died last winter. She took Maria's hand. I didn't know how I was going to survive. She smiled through tears. Thomas helped me stay in my home. Maria looked at Thomas. Why are you showing me all of this? Thomas looked at her. Because these people are why I started the foundation. He pointed to them. And last night when you gave me your last $12. He paused. I realized something. What? Thomas smiled. I've been looking for someone like you for years. Thomas handed Maria another folder. She opened it. Inside was a letter. She began reading. Her eyes widened. What is this? An employment offer. Maria looked up. From the foundation? Thomas nodded. We need a community outreach coordinator. Maria laughed nervously. I've never done anything like that. You've been doing it your entire life. I serve food. You listen to people. Maria looked down. You've worked 2 jobs while raising a child. He continued. You know what desperation looks like. Maria's eyes filled again. You know what it means when somebody says, I'm fine, but they're not. Thomas placed his hand on the table. That's what we need. Maria stared at the contract. The salary was more than twice what she made. Health insurance, paid childcare, retirement benefits, education assistance, and a training program. Maria couldn't believe it. I can't accept this. Why? Because I only bought you dinner. Thomas smiled. No. He shook his head. You reminded me why I built all of this. Thomas noticed Daniel standing quietly behind his mother. He smiled. Daniel. The boy looked up. Yes. Do you like sneakers? Daniel nodded. What kind? Daniel thought about it. The blue ones. Thomas laughed. The blue ones. Yeah. Thomas looked toward one of the vans. A man opened the back doors. Inside were boxes, food, clothes, school supplies, and a pair of brand new blue sneakers. Daniel's eyes widened. For me. Thomas nodded. Those are yours. Daniel looked at Maria. Mommy. Maria nodded. Go ahead. Daniel ran toward the box. Maria covered her mouth. She couldn't stop crying. Thomas stood beside her. You've spent years making sure he had what he needed. Maria whispered. I just wanted him to have a normal life. Thomas looked at Daniel. Then let's start there. Thomas wasn't finished. There is one more thing. Maria looked at him. What? Rebecca told me you wanted to become a nurse. Maria froze. She hadn't thought about that dream in years. When I was 19, she said quietly, I wanted to go to nursing school. What happened? Daniel's father left. She looked toward her son. I had a baby. Bills. Work. She smiled sadly. Dreams became less important. Thomas shook his head. No. He reached into the folder. They became delayed. He handed her another letter. A scholarship. Full tuition. Books. Transportation. Childcare. Everything. Maria stared at it. You want me to go to nursing school? I want you to finish what you started. Maria couldn't speak. Thomas said, You spent your last $12 feeding a stranger. He smiled. Let us invest in the person who did that. 3 weeks later, Maria's life looked completely different. Her apartment was still the same, but the fear was gone. The refrigerator was full. Daniel had new clothes. His shoes fit. The electricity bill was paid. The car was repaired. And Maria had started classes. But Thomas had one final surprise. He took Maria to an empty building 3 blocks from her apartment. What is this? Thomas smiled. This is your next project. Maria walked inside. The building was enormous. There were empty rooms everywhere. Thomas handed her a blueprint. Food pantry. Another room. Free tutoring. Another. Job training. Another. Medical assistance. Maria looked at him. What are you doing? Thomas pointed to the wall. A sign was being installed. It read. Maria shook her head. No. Thomas laughed. Yes. You can't name this after me. Why not? I haven't done anything. Thomas looked directly at her. Maria, you gave away your last $12. He paused. Sometimes that's more than a millionaire can give. 6 months later, Maria was working at the foundation. She had completed her first semester of nursing school. Daniel was doing well, and the community center was nearly finished. One afternoon, Maria received her first official case. An elderly man named Frank. He had lost his job. He was behind on rent. He had no family nearby. Maria sat across from him. What do you need? Frank looked embarrassed. Everything. Maria smiled. I understand. He looked at her. You do. Maria nodded. More than you think. She helped him apply for housing, connected him with a food program, found him temporary employment, and helped him get medical assistance. Before he left, Frank looked at her. Why are you doing this? Maria smiled. Because everybody deserves a chance. The exact words she'd spoken to Thomas. But now they meant something different. The community center opened 8 months later. The 50 people from that morning were there. So were hundreds of others. There was a food pantry, a classroom, a small medical clinic, a job training office, a children's reading room, and a scholarship program. Maria stood outside the building with Daniel. The sign above them read, Bennett Community Center. Daniel looked at his mother. Mommy, are you famous? Maria laughed. No, you have a building. That doesn't make me famous. What does? Maria thought for a moment. Helping people. Daniel smiled. Like you helped the old man? Maria looked at Thomas standing across the parking lot. Exactly. 1 year after the dinner, Thomas returned to Murphy's Diner. Maria went with him. The diner hadn't changed much. The same cracked booths. The same flickering sign. The same old coffee machine. Maria stood near the table where she'd met him. Thomas sat down. You remember? Maria smiled. I remember. He looked around. That night changed everything. Maria shook her head. Your foundation changed everything. Thomas smiled. No. He pointed at her. You did. Maria looked at the table. I was scared. Of what? Of not having enough. Thomas nodded. And you gave anyway. Maria smiled. Maybe that's what kindness is. Thomas looked at her. What's that? Giving even when you're scared there won't be enough left for you. Thomas smiled. Then he reached into his pocket. He placed $12 on the table. Maria laughed. What is that? Your $12. I don't want it. I know. He smiled. But I want you to keep it. Why? So you never forget where this started. Maria picked up the money. She looked at it. $12. It didn't look like much, but it had changed 2 lives. Then 5. Then 50. Then hundreds. Maybe thousands. All because one woman decided that a hungry stranger deserved dinner. As Maria and Thomas walked toward the door, the diner manager approached. It was the same manager who had once told Thomas he needed to leave if he couldn't pay. He looked embarrassed. "Maria." She turned. "Yes." He hesitated. "I owe you an apology." Maria smiled. "For what?" "That night." He looked at Thomas. "I judged him." Then back at Maria. "And I judged you." Maria shook her head. "We all make mistakes." The manager nodded. "I've been trying to do better." He pointed toward the counter. "We started something." Maria looked. A small sign had been placed near the register. It read, "Customers could purchase meals for people who couldn't afford them." Maria smiled. "That's wonderful." The manager looked at her. "It was your idea." Maria frowned. "I never said anything." "You didn't have to." He smiled. "We watched what happened." Maria looked at Thomas. Thomas smiled. Kindness spreads. 2 years passed. Maria became a licensed nurse. Daniel was 10 years old. The Bennett Community Center had expanded. There were now 3 locations. Hundreds of families had received assistance. And Maria still carried the original $12. She kept them in a small frame on her desk, not because they were valuable, but because they reminded her of one simple truth. You never know what a small act of kindness can become. One afternoon, Maria was leaving work when she noticed a young man sitting outside a grocery store. He looked exhausted. His car was parked nearby. The hood was open. Maria walked toward him. "You okay?" He looked up. "My car broke down." "Do you have a mechanic?" "No." "Money?" He laughed bitterly. "Not really." Maria reached into her purse. She pulled out her wallet, then stopped. She remembered the $12. She smiled. "Come with me." The young man looked confused. "Where?" "Let's get your car fixed." He shook his head. "I can't pay you." Maria smiled. "You don't have to." "Why?" She looked at him. "Because someone once did the same thing for me." Years earlier, Maria had been the person who needed help. Now she was the person who showed up. She had once counted coins at a diner. Now she helped families keep their homes. She had once worried about whether Daniel would have breakfast. Now she helped children whose parents were facing the same fear. She had once spent her last $12 on a stranger. And somehow, those $12 had become something much bigger. A foundation, a community, a career, a future, and a lesson that kept spreading. Because the people Thomas helped started helping other people. The people Maria helped started helping others. And those people helped more people. One act became another, then another, then another, until kindness was no longer a single moment. It became a chain that nobody could see, but everyone could feel. Years later, Maria returned to Murphy's Diner. She sat alone in the same booth. The waitress brought her coffee. Maria smiled. "Thank you." She looked toward the window. Outside, people were walking past. Some were rushing. Some were struggling. Some were probably carrying problems nobody else knew about. Maria thought about that night. The old man. The empty wallet. The $12. The decision. She remembered thinking, "Tomorrow will figure itself out." She smiled. It had, but not in the way she expected. Thomas sat down across from her. Still thinking about it, Maria laughed. "Always." He placed something on the table. The original $12. Maria looked at him. "You still have those. I told you to keep them." "I did." She opened her purse. Inside was a small framed photograph. The $12 were displayed behind glass. Thomas smiled. "Why keep them?" Maria looked at him. "Because they remind me that you don't have to be rich to change someone's life." She paused. "Sometimes you just have to care." Thomas nodded. They sat silently for a moment. Then Maria noticed something outside. A young woman was standing on the sidewalk. She was holding a little boy's hand. The woman looked worried. Maria watched her for several seconds, then stood. Thomas smiled. "You're going?" Maria nodded. "Someone needs help." She walked outside. The young woman looked at her. "Excuse me." Maria smiled. "Are you okay?" The woman hesitated, then shook her head. "No." Maria nodded. "Okay." She looked at the little boy, then back at his mother. "Let's figure it out." And just like that, the cycle continued. Because one night, a woman named Maria Bennett had only $12 left. She could have kept it. She could have walked away. She could have told herself that her own problems mattered more. But she didn't. She bought dinner for a stranger. And she never knew what that simple act would become. She didn't know 50 people would stand outside her home. She didn't know strangers would become family. She didn't know a struggling waitress would become a nurse. She didn't know a small diner would inspire a movement. She didn't know $12 could change hundreds of lives. But perhaps that's the point. We rarely know where kindness ends. We only know where it begins. Sometimes it begins with $12. Sometimes it begins with a meal. Sometimes it begins with 5 minutes of your time. Sometimes it begins with simply asking someone, "Are you okay?" So here's the question. If you had only $12 left, and someone else needed help, would you give it away? Would you trust that somehow there would be enough? And more importantly, who needs your kindness today? Because you may never know their whole story. You may never know what they're carrying. You may never know what happens after you walk away. But you can choose what happens when you stop, look them in the eye, and say, "Let me help." Because kindness doesn't always come back to you in money. Sometimes it comes back as a second chance. Sometimes as a new beginning. Sometimes as a community. And sometimes it comes back as 50 people standing outside your door, all because you chose to care when nobody was watching. If this story moved you, tell us in the comments. What is the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? And if you've ever been in a situation where you had almost nothing but still chose to help someone else, share your story, because somebody reading your comment might need to know they're not alone. And remember, you don't have to be rich to change someone's life. Sometimes all it takes is $12 and a choice.